Hello, loves. Kamala here. So, I panic bought a car today. I mentioned in a previous video that I was in the market for a new car, possibly, but I felt like I was kind of shit out of luck because of the tariffs. And I also had until July to make a decision of whether I was going to get a new car or not because I live in Virginia and Virginia has state inspections and mine is due in July. And with how my car is now, I knew I was going to fail it unless I put work into my car. And I've been putting money into my car like the past year or so to fix various things. And so at this point, I was getting to the point of it's probably better to start looking at getting a newer vehicle. For context, my car is a 2008 Scion TC that I brought in 2016. So I can make a car stretch out. I can get my money's worth, okay? And considering that car was 7,000 and it already had like a little over 100,000 miles on it. Now it's at like 160,000. I can make a car work. And that car also got me to Colorado from Virginia and back and handled Colorado winters for 3 years. Google Scion TC. You tell me if that type of car is made for the snow. It is a hatchback coupe, compact looking thing. Hell no, it is not made for winters. All I had were all season tires and praying to God. That's all I had. I drove that car doing a whiteout one time and but that car handled it. And so I have an emotional tie to my vehicle, so it's a little hard. But it's kind of time to start saying goodbye. So once again, I thought I had time, but I was like, either you gotta bite the bullet now before these tariffs really start popping off, or you're just gonna have to continue to put money into your car and hope that it can survive the next 3 years. Yeah, no. So I thought about it and I did a lot of thinking yesterday. And I'd already been looking actually previous to the tariffs being signed off on. So I just bit the bullet. There was this car specifically that I was looking at, and it is a 2024 Toyota Corolla hybrid. And it's, I mean, obviously, once again, I have a 2008 upgrade all around. And yeah, I went to the dealership. I just drove the car and I brought it. It feels to me impulsive in the sense that normally I would test drive multiple cars and like I did do my research. I did the Kelly Boop look. I was like, okay, is the price they giving fair? I do my research, but I usually would take more time with things. But I mean, even when I was working with the salesperson today, they said, yeah, there was stuff already coming down the pipeline. They were being affected with the tariffs. And so I'm like, okay, I felt reassured I made the right decision to do it this weekend, but it still felt really scary and overwhelming. And so I have this really funky relationship with money. And it's not like I grew up poor or anything. Grew up middle class. Both parents are military. So I had a roof over my head, food on my plate. It all really didn't start until I became an adult and started working and then doing my own financial stuff. And so I'm a mental health therapist, and the whole process of getting licensed, it's a whole nother video, but the whole process of getting licensed was traumatic, and a lot of it was also financial trauma because you don't get paid a whole lot starting out as a therapist with a master's level degree. And I had to work multiple jobs. There were times I was working 7 days a week to like work on getting my license and also work a job that paid me enough to survive. And so I'm used to struggling. I'm used to feeling financially insecure. That's just my way of living. But I pay my bills and rent, and sometimes I do get help from like family and stuff, but I typically hold my own. And I've always been proud of that. But yeah, so when I went into my own business last year and then full time this year, so I'm doing my own private practice, and I'm making the most money I've ever made in my life, and it's bringing up a lot for me around money. And it still kind of feels like things don't feel like I'm not like swimming in money. I have debts I'm being diligent about paying off that I've accrued, but I am able to make a move to a city that I've wanted to move to for the past 4 years, and then getting this car today. I test drove the car, and I got out of the car. I parked in like a grocery store parking lot. I got out of the car and I started looking at the car, and I started crying. And I didn't realize how emotional I would get. Like, I knew I was anxious and stressed financially, but I didn't realize it would bring up my money trauma like that, and how emotional I would get. And I literally was convincing myself that I deserved this car. Or I was telling myself that I didn't deserve it. I was like, I don't deserve something this nice. I don't deserve something like this. And I'm crying and I'm being emotional, and it just hits different, right? When you're used to just having to struggle to make ends meet. And one thing, I'm not even out of the water necessarily yet, but I can say I'm in a better place than I was like last year, or definitely like 2 years ago. And I'm very grateful to that. I think part of it is recognizing the hard work I put in, and also the flaws in the system of becoming a therapist. So it's a systematic issue, but I was able to make it work for myself, and now I'm here, and I brought this really new, nice car today. And it just, I'm not used to this. Like, I'm not used to, I guess, my just bank account looking the way that it is. And mind you, once again, it's not perfect. Actually, things are tight right now. I had to pay first month's rent and all the fees for my new place, and I'm also having to still pay rent where I'm at currently. Though thankfully, I particularly wanted to get this unit for my new apartment because they have a 2-month free rent special. So that's definitely going to be helpful. But it's still money to move and stuff, right? And so, and once again, I wanted more time to save money for a down payment and stuff like that. But for getting a car, I didn't necessarily have that happen today. I was like, I just got to go in and like make sure I get something. And I mean, I can once again drive a car into the ground. So this is gonna be my next car for like the next decade. But I just was surprised about the stuff that came up around money. And it's like, you don't have to struggle. You shouldn't have to struggle. And just realizing that I need to work on that relationship with money. Money is energy. And I think a lot of us live in a scarcity complex around it. But also with things currently in America, it's also valid too. So, yeah, that's it. Got a new car. So excited. I named my car Sebastian after Black Butler because it's black and sleek. But as always, Starlight, I hope you're doing well.